Hey everyone, Bruce Eckfeldt here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications so we can let you know when the next video is posted. You can also check us out at eckfeldt.com for more great content. With that, let's go check out the video.
Are you a CEO looking to scale your company faster and easier? Check out Thrive Roundtable. Thrive combines a moderated peer group mastermind, expert one-on-one coaching, access to proven growth tools, and a 24/7 support community. Created by Inc. award-winning CEO and certified scaling up business coach Bruce Eckfeldt, Thrive will help you grow your business more quickly and with less drama. For details on the program, visit eckfeldt.com/thrive. That's eckfeldt.com/thrive.
You're listening to Thinking Outside the Bud, where we speak with entrepreneurs, investors, thought leaders, researchers, advocates, and policymakers who are finding new and exciting ways for cannabis to positively impact business, society, and culture. And now, here is your host, business coach, Bruce Eckfeldt.
Welcome everyone, this is Thinking Outside the Bud. I'm Bruce Eckfeldt, I'm your host. And today our guest is Jane West. And Jane is CEO of Jane West. She's also founder of Women Grow. Jane, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So Jane and I actually had a chance to connect in person in Denver not long ago. So we had a nice conversation and some fascinating history, a fascinating background. Jane, usually what I do is have guests just talk a little bit about their professional background and then how they got into cannabis, because there's always an interesting story, and yours is particularly interesting. So tell us a little bit about the background, because there's a history there.
Certainly. So I had spent most of my career as an event planner in the nonprofit sector, and most of my life as a cannabis user. And so when it became clear that adult use recreational cannabis sales would be legal after January 1st, 2014, I decided to leverage my previous professional experience and start a business called Edible Events as event planner Jane West, where I would produce high-end events in art galleries with private chefs and live music, and also allow for cannabis consumption on premises to really start to push social use into the forefront. I mean, as a cannabis user, I would much rather be able to go out on the patio and smoke a joint and just enjoy non-alcoholic beverages all night long. And, my husband likes to just have a beer. So I just wanted to host a type of parties where both of us could attend. And I could also wear a cocktail dress on a Friday night.
Yep. And this was Colorado, specifically Denver, right?
Correct.
Yep.
In Denver, Colorado.
Yep.
I've lived here for over a decade.
Yeah. So when was this? This was what year?
So I started the companies in the fall of 2013. I actually had gone out to dinner with a friend who had one of the more modern edibles being produced at the time, and just had such a great night. I mean, it was the first time I had kind of dipped my toe into the modern or the more contemporary infused products that were being made, and really just had such a positive experience. And it kind of led to the thoughts about creating this events company. And so I kind of started setting the groundwork in the fall of 2013, and then waited until after adult use was legal. And we held our first event January 24th, 2014 here in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, that was pretty early in the whole process. I mean, you were one of the first ones out of the gate doing this.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And that's why, it was so notable what I was doing, and the fact that there was a place you could go and people would be consuming it and you could take pictures and they're all going to be dressed up. It's crazy. That was how I ended up making a name for myself so very quickly. I got so much press to everything we did. At the time that was, and that, sadly, it's still pretty much a news story in some prohibition states to be this mom uses marijuana. And that was the whole story back then. So, and we were just, I was shamelessly talking openly about my cannabis consumption because I live in a adult use state and I think it benefits my life. And so I just kind of took that platform and ran with it.
Yeah. So, and no such thing as bad press, or does it cut both ways?
2014 was a very, very challenging year. And I really did start the event series as a fun, additional small business idea. based on the population of Denver and the newness of this market. I mean, the events company was not meant to be like a full company or a full-time gig. It was more like a fun boutique thing I was doing where I got to implement really great creative event ideas that I had had over the past, over my career, but never actually got to like put into place in a really like fun way with artists and chefs and live music. And it was great.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like more of just a little hobby.
Yeah.
Most of the events I just threw to like break even and have the fun of throwing them. And I was starting to tap into this whole other network of chefs and artists and gallery owners in Denver by putting the events together. And just that was a fun, addition to my professional life. So it was definitely just something I was doing for fun. But as a result, after only hosting 2 events, I was asked to resign from my job in corporate America after a news story. So that was not something I expected would occur in any way, but it really kind of thrust me into the space with like renewed determined. I had to figure out what I was going to do here in a really short amount of time. Because like I've had a full-time job since I was in high school, and that was the first time I'd ever been fired from anything, and the first time I ever like kind of set out to do something on my own.
Yeah, it's kind of that necessity is the mother of invention here. So given the situation, and given, I mean, it's certainly it's an interesting story because it's both somewhat tragic series of events in terms of what happened to you professionally, but it also put you on a stage, whether you wanted to be there or not.
Definitely.
So talk to us a little bit how you got from there to kind of the Women Grow, how you went from this mom entrepreneur event person dabbling in the cannabis space to all of a sudden becoming really one of the figureheads of the industry or the figureheads of the movement, really, and how you got to that point of really organizing it and putting some purpose and drive to it.
Well, so the events, I spent the quarter 1 and 2 of 2014, like trying to really push social use forward, thinking that we might be able to really make some efforts there.
Yeah.
And so I formed a partnership with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra, and we held a series of summer events and even held a concert at Red Rocks. But in doing that and like taking them more into the spotlight, the city really started to crack down on any type of cannabis consumption events at all. And it became clear that it was not a safe enough space to be able to build a business at that time.
Yeah.
So by the summer of 2014, even though I was hosting these amazing symphony events under the Classical Elite Cannabis series, I knew that they were coming to an end until we could actually have laws in the books in black and white about what social use is. So what was I going to do now? Well, as a result of all the news stories and the different things that had occurred with my professional endeavors, people were contacting me on a daily basis, and specifically women from all over the world, about how do I get in the cannabis industry? I want to do what you're doing. I want to work for you. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to get a license. How do I do this? And I didn't know. I started an event planning business from before that, but in 2013, I did not know a single person that worked in the cannabis industry in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So, I was like, don't ask me. I'm like, I got fired from a job. The thing I'm trying to do is not work. Like I'm not the best person for you. But in trying to help a few of them who reached out to me, it became clear that that at the end of the day, marijuana legalization is a local issue. Like it's going to unfold on a state by state basis. And then after that, a county by county basis. And the regulators and politicians are going to be the ones deciding what regulations look like and who has access to licenses and what it takes to get a license. And in Colorado, Amendment 64 is just such an incredibly well-written set of regulations that really supports small business. There's thousands of small business owners in Colorado that own cannabis businesses. And, in other states where politicians and money and power got involved really early on, and there's really just not access to the market at all unless you have a lot of lawyers and millions of dollars to prove an escrow, which is unnecessary. But, I couldn't provide advice to anyone about how to start a business in the space because every single state's so different. But what I observed in Colorado was that a lot of the women and their business networks were like what they attested were like the reason for their success, and that on a local level, if you connect with other individuals trying to legalize, you'll start to build that like important coalition necessary to really affect change. And so by organizing women on the local level on a monthly basis, we can start to build that network that's necessary in order to be in the right place at the right time when regulations do get put in place in your geographical area. And so that was the premise of starting the business Women Grow.
So the purpose is really kind of helping the industry develop, helping connect, creating community.
Right.
How did it play out in terms of organizing the actual movement, right? Because it's one thing to sort of create the purpose and say, okay, look, this is what we're going to do. But how do you organize these? I mean, you were getting calls daily with people who want to be involved. Like, how do you plug them into the effort and actually activate them?
So I visualized like what the company would look like and then modeled it after an existing entity called Women 2.0, which is trying to change the gender disparity in the tech industry. And Women 2.0 gathers people together on a monthly basis in cities all over the world. And so that was kind of the framework. And then I launched the first chapter myself. So I held the first Women Grow event in Denver, Colorado in August of 2014. And I just documented everything I did, like send out your email, update your Eventbrite, put this list in, set up the signage, get your volunteers, like everything I was doing. I just like tried to organize in some type of a SOP so that like I could share it with other people. And then my co-founder, Jasmine Hupp, was much, much more digitally skilled than I was and would make videos about what we're doing and about how to like do some of the things that we needed the women to do online. We started a like very, very basic application process. If you want to start a Women Grow chapter, we started getting inquiries from all over the world.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of started building out a database and a list of women from all over the world interested in starting chapters and then providing them with the resources they needed to kind of get started.
Yeah. So, and what I love about the story is it's a great kind of example of someone who has, history, experience, skill set in one area, event planning, how to pull off events flawlessly, and comes into the cannabis space and basically, applies all of their knowledge to create a new thing in the cannabis space. Because I mean, even hearing you talk about, creating the SOPs and stuff like that, I mean, it's clear, like, what you're doing when it comes to running events, and, what a great way to apply it. So how has Women Grow kind of unfolded for you, and how has it set you up for kind of the next thing that you're doing professionally here?
Well, it only took me like a month of working on Women Grow to know that we were going to find a whole nother generation of incredible leaders to run it. Like I knew from the very beginning that I just needed to like build something that had a structure and a framework, and that I knew that you could hold successful market leader events. And if I could do that for 3 months, then I knew I could teach others how to. And as soon as we got to that point, that I'd have this whole, because I just met the most like incredible, motivated, grounded, and like people coming from like for all the right reasons into this space around building Women Grow. And so I knew that I could leave it in great hands. And so I built up a team, and by the summer of 2016, I was no longer like employee or staff member or working directly on Women Grow. The next generation had kind of taken over to take it into the future.
That's impressive. I think a lot of people, it would be natural or easy for them to want to kind of stay in. I think it's, I think it was a big, it definitely takes a kind of a big picture, and it takes a bigger purpose to say, hey, look, the best thing I can do is actually step out of a key critical operational role, focus more on advising and kind of guiding it, and letting the next generation who are highly capable, have all sorts of new skills and ideas, let them drive it forward.
Like way more creative. Like they're just the ideas that people would come to us with that they wanted to do were just like such a great application of what we had built, and it was just so exciting.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to try to do something different, and I had such a clear idea of the types of products I wanted to make, and I wasn't seeing anything like that coming to the market, and also like Women Grows, I just feel like, is really egalitarian, and it's about like everyone involved. So I definitely wanted to kind of take a step back and let them run with it.
Yeah. And just give us a sense of where is Women Grow now? Give us an outline of.
So we have market leaders all over the country and in Canada that run Women Grow events every month. I think we're in about 15 cities right now, and we've got a lot of great applicants. Every year we have a national conference, and for the past 2 years it's been in Denver because it was just like a great, like fully developed market for other people to come be able to like step into. Like we would do dispensary tours and grow tours. But this spring in 2019, the national conference will be in Washington, D.C. And I'm looking forward to that. The new chairwoman of the board of Women Grow is Dr. Shonda Macias. She's a dispensary owner, Hunt Circle, National Holistic. And so we're going to travel out to DC. We've always had like such a strong chapter there that was really like very politically involved. And we've had like representatives come to the events there. So that's what's up next for Women Grow.
Perfect. And now that you're out of the operational role and not taking up quite so much time, what are you doing with your spare hours that you now have?
I'm trying to like build a global empire of awesome cannabis products that allow people to think differently about cannabis consumption and have like proudly showcase all these items in their homes and in their purse and be there as I think a lot of my current customers don't realize how much they're going to enjoy incorporating cannabis into their lives yet. And so I'm trying to help them do that.
Awesome. And who is your kind of target or your core customer? Who are you specifically trying to serve with the new brand?
Well, I am a dedicated flower user. Mm-hmm. So for all my home goods and accessories, I've specifically designed products that are best for use with flower. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, I choose to incorporate CBD into my life in the form of my morning coffee and then like a dry capsule that I take in the morning and at night. And so those are two of the other products that we're bringing to market. And so, in general, we're a female-led owned and operated brand and company. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a lot of our customers are just new users who are looking for thoughtful, sophisticated ways to incorporate cannabis in their lives.
Yeah. And what do you think in terms of where the industry's been and where you see it going? How is your brand kind of playing into this? Like, what aspect or what angle of the market are you most interested in kind of just trying to adopt or trying to go after strategically?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do think that CBD is a great first step into, starting to like understand cannabis for wellness. And so our consumables line with the coffee and capsules, I think, is a really good first step. And then additionally, in order to start using more flower in your life, I think you just need the right products in order to do that and have it be something that is just a natural, new, healthy habit. Mm-hmm. So we partner with licensed growers on a state-by-state basis, and we're making little mini joints. Okay. Come in 5 packs and 10 packs. And I think it's a really great way to have new users kind of start it's 100% pure bud. It's finely ground. It's already rolled into a teeny tiny little joint for you. And it's just the perfect size. So just try this. Just try this and let's see how it goes. Yeah. So we've kind of really broken it down. So we sell them in day and night. So it's like very simple. And it's a great way to just like incorporate the products in your life. Infused products can be scary for new users who are worried about the effects of cannabis on them. And like consuming flower is it's a great quick uptake. And then just like kind of remembering what the psychoactive effects of cannabis are and enjoying them. And then like having it, it fades fairly quickly, especially when you're like consuming a reasonable dosage. So yeah, it's just a good way to like start dipping your toes in it again. Yeah.
So I always love hearing, and to the extent that you're willing to share, what are some of the challenges that you've had, as you kind of design the products, figure out the strategy, go to manufacture, distribute, like where have you seen, just as an entrepreneur and a business owner, what has worked particularly well, and then what hasn't? What do people need to know about getting into this space and trying to build brands and build products?
Okay, well, I'm going to divide it into the boring part and the exciting part. Okay. So the biggest challenges in the boring part are importing, customs, merchant services, and fulfillment. Okay. And then ultimately fulfillment goes back to issues with insurance, liability, storage, and all the things that are involved with this just like brand new market where people don't know and ultimately they don't want to operate in a gray zone. And so, you're looking for all these services in order to scale your business up, and you need to know that you can rely on trusted vendors. And so it takes a lot of education to help people understand, okay, there's no weed in here. And this is it, and this is that. But then, it's also really complicated. This isn't a simple, this is this or it's not that. So like full spectrum CBD oil has trace amounts of THC in it. And that point alone is kind of really hard for people who are not familiar with this substance to like understand. So on the business side, those have been some of the biggest issues in what I've been doing. And then on the more like fun consumer education and focus group side, there's really not a very good lexicon or like dictionary of what we're talking about here. And so like, for instance, just the word vape alone, people think it's those, I mean, people, especially in the center of the country, think vape is just that juice, e-juice filled with nicotine. And now I understand why they think that, because the vape shops are filled with this stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's also vape pens, but then like we're vaping like flower vapes, which are great. Like I think one of the healthiest ways to consume, and also like flower vaping specifically, really, I find like is a great like upper. Like I like to do that before like exercising. Mm-hmm. And so just to try to explain, hey, use a flower vaporizer before exercising is not so simple, because there's all these, you have to say all the things it's not and kind of explain what it is. And everyone's kind of using the same words. And so, yeah, so interesting as we like go into more consumer research and feedback, how like the very words you're using matter in terms of like one hitter and taster and like the different types of ways we're explaining even what these products our new customers are holding are.
It's interesting because I think it's been one of the challenges or one of the kind of interesting dynamics is coming out of this, I'll call it kind of a pot culture, a historical pot culture that it intentionally has created a lot of lingo, a lot of inside terms, kind of inside baseball kind of things to actually differentiate itself, to make it kind of exclusives or make it tough to enter, like it's you're in the club kind of thing.
Oh, we trademarked that. We trademarked drops, and now that's what they're called.
Yeah, but now this is becoming, if not mass market, at least, a common market kind of set of products. And how do we kind of rewrite the scripts, rewrite the playbooks, rewrite the lexicon to now work? Right. And some of it's because it's complicated, like the traditional pop culture is kind of complicated one, but it's laden with, history and, a certain stigma. So I guess where are you seeing? Actually, what was the MedMen just tried to brand? I forget what it was. They went to court and tried to trademark something. Yeah, but it's this game right now. Like everyone's trying to land grab terms and things. How do you see this playing out? I mean, is it going to be people kind of grabbing these different names, trying to own them, and then they become kind of just general industry terms, or what's the strategy?
I think at the end of the day, like high quality products are what people are going to be drawn to, because these are like consumables that we're using on a regular basis. So I think the leaders in defining the terminology will be the leaders in the industry who are selling great products. And so as a company at Shop Jane West, we're just being extremely thoughtful about what words we use and then sticking to them. And then like whenever we're asked for definition of them, we provide it and, hope others kind of follow the same. And additionally, like I'm really going for like global domination here. So we are like at positioning ourselves as a global cannabis brand. And we have investors from over 17 countries. And I have a lot of like feature articles in other countries. And so there's a whole other level of this to what we're trying to do, because it's how the journalist then also translates what you're telling them. The stuff is. Yeah. There's like a German article about Women Grow back in the day where really they kept using a word that would most likely be translated as addicts. Because we were pretty strict about being open that we use cannabis like almost every day, right? Yeah. And so the word they used to describe us was this addict word. And Julie, a German-speaking friend, was like reading it to us, and they were like laughing, like they're like, it sounds like you guys are like taking pockets all day, like. And that's just because they didn't, what word to use. So anyways, that's just like a whole nother level to it. That's pretty interesting about how this keeps expanding. Yeah.
Do you see, I haven't really done the mapping, but it is sort of the pot culture historically different by different country. I mean, certainly we're familiar with the kind of the U.S. California one, but what is the When you start looking globally, what is the differences?
Oh my God. I mean, it's just like night and day everywhere. It's so fascinating. It's just so fascinating. Last fall, I spent a week in Prague and like really kind of learning like the European market a bit. And that's super joint, like home rolled, individually rolled joints, many times rolled with tobacco, and like very little product, very little equipment, like no dabbing at all.
Yeah.
Cans are built on the seed varietal. It's just like a very different market. I bet it's kind of in my understanding, like they took the rules that they could get away with and made the most they could out of a market. And it's based on like the seeds that the cannabis is grown from. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. And the most fascinating part is how quickly everything is changing. And that like just when I started my first business in the space, it was exactly 5 years ago. And I couldn't even find a picture of a woman with weed in it that wasn't like this like tits and ass shot. Like not one picture like that exists on the internet. When I started my LinkedIn account, I could type in the word cannabis to LinkedIn and there were less than 10 pages of people willing to put that word in their job description. So like those two things alone, like seeing how much that's changed, that like I can now like, there's like all these different competing media companies going for like the young millennial weed user. I mean, that's like amazing. That's so amazing. Yeah. So, and I just think like, it's just going to change all these images that we had such like outdated, uneducated, stereotypical imagery about cannabis use for so long that like, there's just people have like such fixed thoughts about it. And so by like having it be so much more accessible to so many more people and people not being ashamed of talking about how much it's benefited their lives, it's really, really like changes all the visuals and who's speaking out about it and who's hearing what they're saying too. And so everything's just changing so rapidly.
Yeah. Well, and looking kind of beyond or bigger than the business, I mean, what do you think, if we just kind of look at a policy or a social point of view, what do you think needs to be on the agenda in terms of the sort of the cannabis community and policy making? Like, what are the important factors or the important issues that you want to make sure people are discussing or focusing on?
Well, for me, the question that I'm asked most, so there's like very, very important social justice issues that are not being addressed in any way, shape, or form. Especially regarding like expungement, which should like expungement law and the laws around each state's like policies to that should be defined before you can sell cannabis in that state. Like they should know that should be part of this. And it's sad that it hasn't been, but we still have, states to go that maybe they can change the path there. And so that's important. And secondly, at least for me, because so often the question people are asking me is about starting a business in the industry, at the end of the day, whether or not you're going to start a business in the industry has to be directly correlated with the opportunity available to you. And what I watched evolve in Colorado with Amendment 64, which is like a somewhat unlimited licensing model that really supported small business in the state, was incredible and wonderful. And candidly, this is probably me being my naivete, but at the time, I couldn't imagine that additional states that came on would have a more restrictive law. I mean, my God, we're the first ones doing this. How could these other states come on and be so much more restrictive that only 10 people get licenses? And all of those 10 people are, there's no diversity. There's no diversity in that's not what I pictured. And I guess, that's not what the way I pictured it evolving. And so I think it's just people who are interested in starting businesses, and especially people who are interested in entering into the cannabis space, especially in prohibition states, should really take a look at Amendment 64 and at the way Colorado legalized, because it's inevitable. The legalization of cannabis is now inevitable. Sure, maybe there'll be places that never have it, just like there's dry teas, but this is inevitable. And so now, whichever side of the fence you're on, what you should be asking, how is this going to happen? Yeah. Who is going to benefit from this? Who is going to own these businesses? Who is going to control this sector? Because it's going to be part of all these different states, but what I've seen happen in Colorado is inspiring and exciting. And what I'm seeing happen in other states around the country looks more like just like monopoly structures.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that is now, I think, coming on people's radars more and more as we see these states playing out, and the impact the policy has over who actually benefits, who gets involved, who has a seat at the table is becoming more of a concern. So if people want to find out more about Jane West the brand and Jane West the person, what's the best way to get more information?
They should go to janewest.com. That's kind of our portal for all things Jane West. That'll direct you to places where you can learn more about our glass line, which is basically for like home use flour. And I have a travel collection that's for on-the-go portable use. And then this holiday, we're bringing to market our CBD line in the form of a coffee and a capsule. So all the information about the products are there, and we can direct you to them through janewest.com. You can follow us at Shop Jane West. You can follow me at The Jane West. And just watch us grow, and we love feedback. So you can always send that along on the website, and we'd love to hear what you think.
Perfect. And Jane, thank you so much for taking the time. Great conversation. It's really a pleasure to have you on the program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Thinking Outside the Bud with business coach Bruce Eckfeldt. To find a full list of podcast episodes, download the tools and worksheets, and access other great content, visit the website at thinkingoutsidethebud.com. And don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter at thinkingoutsidethebud.com/newsletter.